Peter, it's great to catch up with you after all these years. Obviously, you're a pupil at Gateway Primary School. My role was different at that time. I was the sports director and probably more directly involved in coaching and that sort of thing. But you've come a long way since your time at Gateway. And I'd love to just hear a little bit about your journey, because I know you went to St. John's, but you had bigger dreams, eh?
Yeah, so I graduated, I finished school at Gateway and started at St. John's. I was at St. John's for a year and a half, and then I got a swimming scholarship to Wesley Boys High School in Durban. It's a really good swim school. That's where Chadwick Lowe swam before he went to the Olympics. So it was a really good environment to focus on swimming. And I trained under Peter Wetzlar. And that set me up pretty well. Once I graduated, I got a scholarship to UK. I was in quite a lucky situation where they needed a sprinter, and the coach at the time believed that my talent was pretty untapped. So I got a scholarship to come to University of Kentucky. Fortunately, there was a senior at the time who was Zimbabwean and kind of showed me the ropes, Sean Gunn. After about a year, I started improving pretty significantly. Pretty much every time I swam, I was doing best times. And then in 2019, the possibility of qualifying for the Olympics really came into focus. I swam world champs, and now we're here, 2 days before the official selection. This is the last couple of days of waiting. Yeah.
Brilliant. I was looking at your mom actually sent me a picture, but I actually looked at it and found in the yearbook for your last year at Gateway.
Yeah.
And I think it's amazing, because this is what you said in that particular thing. You said that it says prefect, house captain, Lewis House. I think that was the best house. You said exciting moments for me were the times I broke records in swimming, butterfly 2007, 2008. I'm hoping to take part in the Olympic Games for swimming in years ahead. Yeah. And that was in grade 7.
Yeah.
And so, right there you had that dream, which is just amazing that you actually are living that dream now. It's taken 10 years or so, but
12 years.
There. Yeah.
I remember watching Kirsty Coventry swim at the Olympics and Michael Phelps in 2008. And that was, I think, the first time I thought I would love to compete on that stage and represent Zimbabwe. I didn't actually remember saying that or writing that. And my mom always said, he's had this dream since he was 12 years old, but she sent me that the other day, and I was quite surprised that she was right.
Yeah, well, you're quite determined, because I remember chatting to your folks at the time you were at St. John's, and you were the one who actually applied to Westphal and set everything up. So that was just, going back to Form 1. So it was, you were chasing the dream right then.
Yeah. We were in kind of a good situation where we were going on holiday to Durban with the family, and I had known about Wesley Boys for a while, and kind of knew that for my swimming to get to the next level, that I would need to be in an environment where I could train, and then had like school and stuff fit around training, but more focused on developing. And because Westphal is such a good swimming school, I knew that they would work with me to train and things like that. So we were in Durban for a holiday, and I had been emailing and in contact with their deputy head at the time, Mr. Parodies, and we had a kind of an informal meeting, and there he said that they would offer me a scholarship, and that was like middle of Form 2, and pretty much the next semester I arrived at Wesley Boys. Yeah.
Mm. That's amazing. I remember you as a swimmer, because I mean, yeah, obviously in the infants department didn't have much to do with you, but you know, right from grade 3, you always had like that competitive edge. You always wanted to do well and worked hard, and you had great focus. But you had to push through some tough stuff too outside of the swimming. So I remember all the hard work and training for rugby tour, and then a broken arm. And you know, you had to cope with difficulties, and going on the rugby tour and having to watch the guys and not being able to participate, but being there and that kind of thing. Those kind of experiences, how did they help you cope with the disappointment of the delay in Olympics and yeah, I suppose other personal milestones that you were hoping to achieve last year?
Yeah, I mean, throughout my swimming career, there's been many disappointments. Things like that, breaking my arm, other injuries, you know, not making teams or being on the cusp of things. And then with COVID, initially our college swimming was cancelled, but I still had hope that the Olympics would still happen in the July of 2020. So I was still pretty much in full training, just on my own, until they cancelled and like had officially postponed the Olympics to this year. And at that point, I'd already had like the momentum in my head that I could keep training, and that that was about, you know, right about June. I've been training on my own for a couple of months, and I think just in the sense that like if I hadn't already had the momentum of training alone before it got cancelled, it was an easier step mentally to say, oh, now I've only got, you know, 9 months left of training, and I already have like the mental capacity, the mental focus to train on my own. So I think those kinds of things, setbacks and injuries and just difficult situations, they're never lost. It's more just preparing you for the mental strength that you'll need later on, and helping you cope with difficult situations. That's how I found it.
And then to get to the Olympics, you have to actually achieve some seriously high standards. You mentioned, you know, kind of hitting that spot where you started to see your personal records and just achieving and moving towards it. But you've got to get certain standards and compete in events. And you mentioned going to the Worlds and that kind of thing. So it's quite a big thing to actually achieve and to hit all those targets. Were there little milestones along the way that you knew you had to get, and how was it, you know, in terms of competition to be able to hit that higher spot?
Yeah, there's definitely some small milestones. Fortunately, back when I first started at University of Kentucky, I was on track to making the World's team in Hungary, in Budapest, and so the summer before, I needed to swim 22.9, which would have been the Zimbabwe record at the time, and it was actually held previously by Chad Adamson, really strong swimmer, and I knew I needed to break that time, and I did it. I think I needed to go 22.96, and I went 22.94, and so I just squeezed in to qualify for Worlds. And then the following Worlds, the qualifying time was slightly faster and slightly faster. So the process at the high levels kind of gears to force you to make those small steps. It's very difficult to go from you know, a national level or even like an African Games level, and then step up to qualifying for something like the Olympics, just because the realm of possibility of improvement can get too great. It could be too great to make. At a point, there's no longer marginal improvements. You need larger steps, and so without those small steps, it's very difficult to keep your mind right, to progress, and your training right, but also to physically be able to do those things. Yeah.
Amazing. We talked about dreams and ambitions and the hard work, and you already mentioned Kirsty Coventry being kind of inspirational to you. I remember we were actually on holiday and the Olympics were on, and we were watching Kirsty Coventry in the final and just blown away. You know, you're thinking, wow, she's done it. How much of an inspiration has, you know, Kirsty been, and who are the other people who've inspired you along the way? You know, coaches, family, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Kirsty definitely was a big inspiration for me. Obviously in 2008 when she did so well, and throughout her career. But I was in 2008. That was really when I first saw her and was like, yeah, that's relatable, because she came from the same. You know, she was swimming in Les Brown just like I was, and
yeah.
And to get to that level. So she was the first person that I saw and thought, hey, like, she came from the same level. I think I can do that too. And then once I got to Westville, you know, obviously Chadwick Lowe, I was a butterfly at the time, and you know, Chadwick Lowe was the butterfly on a world stage too. You know, I also had my older sister Charlotte. She was an exceptional athlete. She qualified and competed at Junior Olympics for triathlon. So I think we have similar drive to compete and to race. I know that my parents were pretty competitive athletes. My mom, you know, ran hurdles in high school and did really well. And then when I came to America, I had Sean Gunn, who was a senior at my university at the time. He swam at the Olympics in 2016 in Rio. And so he was, you know, a big motivating factor. In fact, the first swim meet that I swam for UK in the States, we went to Auburn University in Alabama, and that was the university that Kirsty swam at, and her records are still up on the board from when she was swimming there, and they have a plaque for all the Olympians that have come through Auburn and competed at the Olympics. And she was on there, and I was showing all my friends, and you could see all her gold medals and things like that. And so that was like realigning for me to know that, you know, she was here and I'm here now. You know, yeah.
Brilliant. I mean, I think as a former Gateway pupil, I hope that this interview is going to inspire some of our current pupils to set goals and dreams. You know, if you think back to being in grade 7 and maybe not even thinking about it clearly, but that was obviously something that was there. You know, I'm hoping that this will be inspirational to them, just to say, you know, you can have dreams like this and go for it. But you're going to have to really graft and work hard and make decisions and that kind of thing. And obviously, in order to get to where you mentioned about, you know, that period of anticipating going to the Olympics, and then it's deferred, but you had momentum. But it's huge discipline, isn't it? It's regular training, it's diet, it's dealing with, you know, your sort of the mental strength to be able to keep pushing yourself towards those goals. So any advice for the Gateway pupils who've got some dreams?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I think, especially as you know, as a primary school, if you're an athlete thinking about competing at a high level, I think the main thing you need to be thinking about is, are you having fun? You know, it's much easier to get to the high level if you're having fun at the junior levels. If you're not having fun at the junior levels, once you add on, 20, 25 hours of training a week, thousands of miles in the pool, or whatever sport you do, that's going to be when it's not going to be fun. And if you have a love of the sport, that's going to help mentally get through those things. Another thing I'd like to mention is, like, when you do get to the higher level, my coach, my former coach, she would say, if you want to do really well, like compete at the world level or compete internationally, you really don't have a lot of choices. I think most people know the right things to do. Most people know that they should, wake up and go to training and not skip practices and make sure they eat right. Most people know what they need to be doing, but choose not to, choosing to go out or to have parties or whatever. But when you want to do really well, those decisions are already made. Or you can think of it as you don't have a decision, because the decision isn't there to make if you want to truly do something special. I think those are the 2 points that I'd like to make. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. So I think choices are key. Hey.
Yeah.
At Gateway, we consider values to be really important. And I want to take you back to probably something that you may have forgotten when you were captain of the Gateway swimming team. We were in the Division 1 gala, and we'd had quite a ding-dong with Hellenic in the previous few years. I think the one year we had won the Gateway co-ed, and then got beaten by Hellenic at the Division 1. And then the following year, we lost to them quite significantly at the Gateway co-ed, and then we beat them in Division 1. And this was your year as captain, and we were at the Division 1 gala. And we'd been training hard, and one of our swimmers got injured, and we had to make a decision between two swimmers. And I called you and Rebecca, she was the captain, the girls' captain at the time, and I asked you, I said, this one or this one? And you and Rebecca it was like an automatic response. She said, this one, because she worked for it. So the other one was slightly better, but the one who'd worked for it, you wanted her to get the chance to represent the school. And, that came from a value base. It wasn't about winning necessarily. It was about what was right. So how important have your values and your Christian faith been on this journey?
I mean, things like that, values, I think personal values, as well as Christian values, I think oftentimes they're intertwined. So I'm just going to talk about values in general, because I think most Christian values and personal values come from the same kind of thinking of what is right. I think when you think about things like decision making, if you don't have a framework of a way to assess a situation, or so like I said, when you want to compete at a high level, the decision is really made because of the framework around decision making is, I want to compete at this high level. So if you don't have that ethical base or that values base, it's going to be really difficult to make decisions consistently, because you won't have the root system that not only encourages you to make the right decision, but allows you to make the decision that is the right one. Because a lot of the time people will know the right decision, but like I said, they might not choose it just because the value system isn't rooted in something like faith.
Brilliant. Peter, thanks so much. I really appreciate catching up with you, and I'm so excited that you have got this opportunity. But it's not something that's been handed. You've worked hard. You've stayed the course. You've had some setbacks, and we're looking forward to being able to watch and see you compete in the Olympics. And who knows, the sky's the limit. I don't know if there was a Zimbabwean who thought that Kirsty was going to hit gold when she was at the Olympics. And there may be some people who are going, Peter, he's doing well, but is he gonna? And we'll be rooting for you. We'll be praying that you can do your absolute best, and that's probably the best thing that you can do, is know that you've gone out, you've given it everything, and whatever the results are, we know that you deserve this moment. So thank you so much, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Yeah.
Thanks.